In today's episode, we're going to help you break free of the referral roller coaster and put together a very simple marketing plan to start moving online. So stick around.
If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest.
I am super excited to talk about this topic today because I run into so many amazing coaches and consultants who've built successful businesses offline or through referral or through their network. But a lot of them are struggling to start to break free and generate their own leads online. And so what we're going to do today is really walk you through what this looks like. How do you put together a really solid yet simple plan to start this process? Because referrals are amazing, but oftentimes you run into that feast or famine thing because you don't really control it as much as we would, as much as you'd like. It's hard to count on consistency when you're referral based. If you learn to generate your own leads, build an audience online, do all of the things that Todd and I and here, us at Digital Trailblazer, what we teach, that's when you can have consistency that you can count on and really start to scale and reach and impact more people. All right. So I think the first difference that we need to look at when someone has been successfully building their business through referral and word of mouth is that when you're doing it that way, you can kind of be a generalist. If you're a life coach or a business coach or anything like that, you can help a really big, broad range of people. And you do so because people bring you all kinds of different folks who are struggling in different areas and you help them. And that's wonderful. Now, you can do that for referrals. When you're networking, when you're talking to people and you're selling through relationships, that is not what you need to be doing in the online space. So keep doing that for referrals. However, when we're talking about actually pushing some marketing out there, when you're starting to market yourself and your services, you can't be a generalist. You need to help a very specific type of person get a very specific type of result, because that is what will attract people to you. When they're struggling with something in their relationships, in their health, in their business, they're like chewing on that problem. They're mulling it over in their mind. They've got all of these worries, these anxieties, these goals they're striving for, but they're not achieving. And that's what's swirling on in their mind. As a marketer, right? Because now you're going to market yourself. You need to come in and join into that specific conversation. And you need to speak their language about what they're looking for, what they're struggling with, what their pains are, what they're trying to achieve. And people are looking for a specific solution for their specific problem and not a general solution to their specific problem.
Yeah, and I'd say that's really the number one issue that we run into with people when they come to us for help, and they've primarily been referral based or networking based as far as getting clients and customers, is that they've just kind of taken whoever's coming in. And what they don't realize is that when you're getting your clients and customers that way, it's not your marketing that is making the sale, right? It's the relationship. Right? It's a relationship that is getting the sale. It's very similar to, imagine if you're looking for a house to buy, and so you need a realtor. Well, you may see billboards all over the place from people who have great marketing, and the number one real estate agent in the area is well known. But you also have this brother-in-law who does real estate part-time. He's trying to get his business off the ground, and he wants to bring you on as a client as well. In that situation, as long as the relationship is good, most of the time people are not going to go with the person who has a better marketing or the better track record even. They're going to go with the person that they have the better relationship with. And the thing is, most people, when they're starting out their businesses, that's kind of how they're getting their first customers and clients, are with the people that they have the best relationships with, or they're borrowing that relationship from somebody else through a referral. And that's really what a referral is. It's still relationship-based marketing, but you are relying upon the reputation and the relationship of the person giving the referral in order to make the sale. So a lot of those things that would typically be done with good marketing, as far as building trust, building authority, building rapport, all those things, answering those questions and objections that people would have, those questions are already being taken care of because of the relationship. And so when people try to move past that into their cold market, and they use the same tactics that they use with their warm market to try to market to a cold market, it doesn't work, because all of a sudden, all those elements that were there because of the relationship are now not there anymore. And you have to make up for that with your marketing.
Yeah. And I think people, I get this, but they don't. Or oftentimes they kind of do, but they still really need to refine this. An example that comes to mind from years ago, a client that we worked with, Dita, she was in the mindset space. What she did could help anyone really in any area of their lives. And so what she had previously been putting out online was, I can help anyone who's suffering from something. Well, that's incredibly broad. And when you think about someone who really resonates with a message about suffering, they're probably in a really, really bad place, and probably not a good coaching client necessarily, but someone who's maybe struggling to survive and kind of at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When she started working with us, we helped her work through what could this really look like? Who could she specialize in helping? And she decided to specialize in helping people find their soulmates, because there's a lot of mindset, a lot of work you have to do on yourself to be able to do that. I think it was within a day or so of her making that shift in her online presence. And previously, the only people that she connected with were people who were honestly very, very broke and not potential clients for her. We may help her make the shift of helping successful professionals find their soulmate. And she adjusted everything, started using that messaging. And I think it was a day or two later, she had someone actually reach out to her and ask about her services, because now they understood. Now it resonated. Now it actually made sense to them, because they had a specific problem and she had a specific solution.
I think a good analogy for this is maybe even just, people looking to fix something that's wrong with their car. And if you're a generalist and you put some content out there that says how to fix your car, that may or may not get some views, and it's really not going to get any sales. Because when you think about the person who's sitting down at the computer, they're typing a search into YouTube or into Google about a specific thing that they want to fix. They're typing in something like how to replace an alternator in a 2018 Honda Odyssey. They're not looking for how to fix your car, even though what you do could very well help them to replace an alternator in the 2018 Honda Odyssey. They're not going to be looking for something that just says how to fix your car. But if you're referral based and somebody says, yeah, I need to replace the alternator in my Honda Odyssey, and someone says, hey, I know a guy that's great at fixing cars, I bet he could help. That's going to work for a referral, but that's not going to work as far as marketing to a cold audience online.
So once you've figured out who specifically you want to market to and how you're specifically going to help them, then let's walk through just a basic marketing plan so you can start taking action and moving online, starting to generate leads. So social media is where people are hanging out. When it comes to marketing, you have to go where people are. We're going to use places like Facebook, like Instagram, like LinkedIn, TikTok, if it's still here. All of those places, we're going to use them because people are hanging out there, but we're not going to stay there, right? Those are places where people are hanging out. We want to get their attention in those places. And then we want to move them to something that we own, meaning that we're getting them on an email list. We're getting them over to your website, because we want to use these different platforms because they're awesome and people are hanging out there and you can get attention. But at the same time, you don't truly own those accounts. They can go away overnight and you can't control that. So getting started with a basic marketing plan, let's choose one platform. We're going to get their attention. So in choosing a platform, I'd kind of look at two things. One, what platforms are you comfortable with? do you actually consume content with and understand how to navigate with? And 2, what platforms are your people hanging out on? Because they got to be there if you're going to market to them. So if you want to speak to younger people, I probably wouldn't focus on Facebook. If you want to speak to executives, probably Instagram's not your place, but maybe LinkedIn would be a great place to go. People in their mid-30s and above, hey, Facebook makes a lot of sense for those people, right? So figure out where they are and also what you're comfortable with.
I know that we've had a lot of guests on here before that when we talk about content, oftentimes the advice that they give is to just start where you're comfortable. And I get that. I don't necessarily disagree with it because a lot of times the biggest hurdle people have to overcome in online marketing is just mindset and taking action. And it's always better to take action imperfectly rather than try to get things perfect and just never take action, right? And so I get the idea of, hey, just whatever you're comfortable with, just start there. But I know for us, a big part of being successful in marketing online is getting uncomfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And sometimes that means going to a platform that you don't know yet, that you haven't been on yet. That means you're going to get on video when you've never gotten on video before, or creating content in a way that you've never done it before, and having to expand and learn and build those skills. The more you can learn how to do that and get out of that comfort zone and be comfortable doing those uncomfortable things, the faster you're going to grow. So even though I totally understand why people would say, yeah, just start where you're comfortable, I think, the recommendation that Leah's giving here of go where you know your audience is, be willing to get a little bit uncomfortable to create the content there and engage there, because that's really where you're going to get the best result.
And before we get into like the specifics of the content, let's just talk about content in general, because if you're just coming online, that can be a little bit overwhelming. What do you put out there? What are you doing? I think one problem or challenge or pitfall that people often fall into is if they're going to start posting, they become a pitch fest. And all they're doing is pitching and trying to sell with every post or every piece of content. That's not the purpose of social media. Like that's not going to work. Social media is about being social, about engaging, giving value. And so pitch fests aren't gonna fly. I mean, we've even had folks, it's a similar concept with podcasts. People don't listen to podcasts to be sold something. They'll listen to podcasts for the value. They might end up being led down a road where they do buy something. But if it's just a pitch, it's a crappy podcast and no one's going to listen. We've actually had guests try to be on the podcast and they couldn't not pitch the whole time. So we didn't end up publishing those ones because it's not good content for folks. So you want to give value. So you need to think about what is your target audience struggling with, what's their goals, and how do you help them? Give them tips, insights, nuggets. Inspiration is huge. Helping them to build up the belief that they can actually achieve their goals. All of those things will really attract the right people to you.
And I think one of the other things that's really important to keep in mind here are the different phases or different parts of the customer journey, right? Because you got the top of funnel stuff, you got middle funnel, and then you've got the bottom funnel. The top of funnel, you really need to think about top of mind. Okay, top of funnel, top of mind. What are those things that your ideal prospect or your ideal client thinks is the problem? Okay, not what you know their problem is, right? Or not what you know that the solution should be, but what is it that they are saying to themselves that they need or that they think the problem is? And that is what you need to speak to. For example, if you are a weight loss coach or a fitness coach, and you know that deep down, in order to lose weight, it comes down to the basics, and you just need to focus on calories in, calories out, exercise, just good diet and exercise, right? Versus what people are actually searching for online and what they think the problem is or what they think they need. They may think that they need a better supplement. They may think that they need an apple cider vinegar recipe. They may think that they just need to get the right fasting schedule in order to lose the weight that they want. Even though you know that they need much more than that, at your top of funnel, the biggest, widest part of your business, that is what you need to focus that content on, because that's how you're going to grab the attention of your target audience. So when you're creating that content, most of your content should be that type of content.
Precisely. And some folks, I've heard this from folks just getting started online. I don't know how much to give away. I don't know how much to like if I give all this value on my social platforms, why would they ever buy anything? Someone who's been at this for a while, you never hear that comment from them, right? Because they understand the more that you give value, the more that people want to work with you. The more that they say, hey, I learned so much from their free stuff. I can't wait till I can get into their paid stuff. That's going to be amazing. So a general rule of thumb that you should try to follow is more of the what to do and not the how to do. So in your content, you're going to tell people what to do to get great results. You're going to inspire and give tips and nuggets and all that good stuff. But I wouldn't suggest like doing like screenshot tutorials where you're going through and showing the nuts and bolts of the how to do it, because that's something that's more appropriate for a paywall.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is that when you get really deep into the weeds like that, into specific strategies and things like that, where it gets really complicated or really technical, that actually scares people away. Whereas the content that you create, one of the most important things you need to do with that is build belief. If you've listened to Russell Brunson and you've gone through his perfect webinar training, that's one of the things that he'll say is that the purpose of your webinar is not to educate, it's to build belief. Education is a part of that, but the thing that you have to realize is that people are never going to be able to get from where they are to where they want to be and achieve that goal with a quick 5 or 10 minute video or even a half-hour webinar or a 1-hour webinar. That's why you have a several hour course on that, or that's why you have a full coaching program on it. Is if you could do it in half an hour, then you wouldn't need the coaching program. You wouldn't need the full course. So you have to think to yourself, well, if you've only got half an hour or you've only got an hour or maybe even 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the type of content that you're creating, what can you do in that amount of time to have the biggest effect to start someone on their journey? And that is going to be building belief that they can do it, that it's going to work for them. That is the number one thing. And like we said before, if you start getting into the really technical weeds, screen sharing, point and click stuff, really tedious work, it just scares people away and makes them think that they can't do it. So you just want to focus on the what to do, but not necessarily all the details and step-by-step instructions on how to do it.
So whether you're starting on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, choose one. Let that be your baby. Maybe grab the usernames elsewhere so you'll match eventually when you're ready for multiple platforms. But focus on one platform and then create a DMO, daily method of operation, or even like a weekly method of operation if that's a thing. But where you actually make a plan. Like, what are you going to do? Because just saying like, I'm going to market on Facebook is completely ambiguous and you'll just not do anything because you don't know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So instead, create a DMO. And this could look something, and I'll kind of walk you through a version of this for Facebook, but Instagram and LinkedIn, they have almost all of the same functionalities these days as Facebook does. So you could just apply it, a parallel strategy in those places as well. But if you think about Facebook, and Facebook has been really good to us over the years, we've made a lot of sales. We've driven a lot of traffic through Facebook organically and through paid. So with Facebook, you should be doing some stories. Stories are just top of mind. What's going on? Post maybe 2 stories a day. So like take a pen and paper. If this is what you're going to do, if you're looking to make a marketing plan, write down 2 stories a day. Next thing, write 1 post a day. 1 post. It could be just text. It could be a question. It could be a picture, just a regular post that's going to show up in someone's newsfeed. 3 reels or shorts or whatever it is, what platform you're playing on, 3 reels a week. So that might be something that's harder for you to get into the rhythm of. It takes a little bit more practice. So maybe not do that daily, but maybe 3 a week would be a good routine that you can start to create. And then on top of that, we love live video. Facebook Live has been very, very good to us over the years. It is, number one, a really good way to get good at any kind of recorded video. But number 2, the fastest way to build the know, like, and trust factor. So oftentimes, like for us, we go live in our Facebook group. This is our community. It's free. Anyone can join our group. We'll have the links in the show notes and description, right? But anybody can join that group. And that's where we give great free training. And every week I show up and I do a live training and I talk with them. I'm building a relationship, one to many. We're going back and forth, talking through things, and we're building that know, like, and trust factor. The hottest leads that I ever get, those amazing sales calls where they're pre-sold before they even jump on any call, they're coming from alive. They've interacted, they've seen what we have to offer, and they get really excited. One of the biggest compliments that I get is that, wow, that was actually helpful information and it wasn't just a bunch of fluff. So if you find yourself fluffing it up too much, maybe tone that down a little, give the what to do. You don't give the how to do, but the what to do, and help them to learn. And it'll be massively helpful for you and show your expertise and build that know, like, and trust factor extensively. But LinkedIn has live. You can schedule that ahead of time. You can invite your whole network on LinkedIn. You can go live on Instagram and really any of the platforms these days. So we do this once a week. There have been times in our business where we've done it daily, or in our group, we've done it 2 or 3 times a week at a set day and time, so people can rely on us. They know where to show up and to get great content.
And the other thing I would say is that don't feel like you have to create specific content for each one of these places. Especially when you're just starting out, it can feel really overwhelming to think that, okay, now I need to do a live, now I need to do a reel, now I need to do some shorts, and suddenly got 3 or 4 different types of content that you got to create every single day. Focus on one. So for example, you could create a longer form piece of content as a Facebook Live. You can download that video, and then you can either cut it up yourself into shorts and reels and things like that. Just take pieces of it, like little 30-second or 1-minute clips out of that, and create reels and stories from that. Or you can use a tool like Minvo is one that will do this for you.
Opus Clip.
Yep, Opus
do
Clip
great
is
stuff.
another.
Yeah.
There's probably several others that'll do the same thing for you. You just load your video into there. It'll automatically create these clips. It'll take the highlights from it and it'll spit them out for you. So it doesn't have to be a big, laborious process to create separate content for these different platforms. Just pick one that's maybe a longer form thing that you can split up and repurpose for other places.
Right. And you can split that up technically and do it, but also just thematically as well. You can say this week is going to be, I'm going to do a live on this topic. And then that can give you your ideas for all of your posts and things that we can all be according to that theme. And I think, because oftentimes we'll sit down and like, okay, we got to create content. What's it going to be on? And it's like this big, like, wow, we could do anything and it can be overwhelming. But if you, sit down and create a theme for the week for the next 6 weeks, and then all of the posts, all of your content is related to that theme that week, it becomes much easier to quickly create content versus just coming up with something in the big whole scheme of what you could talk about.
Yeah. Like, for example, like at the very beginning of the week, you could do a recording on on a Monday or maybe even a Sunday before, but do something that's, say, 3 or 5 steps or 7 steps or whatever. Do a 5 steps to losing 7 pounds in the next 7 days or something like that. Create that video, cut that up into each step. So each step, you're just going to release one day. So step 1 is going to be Monday. Step 2, you're going to release that on Tuesday. Step 3, you release that on Wednesday. And release that on as a reel, release it as a short. And then you have the full video inside of your Facebook group or as a live that you're doing. And then you can even release those text posts as well. You can do the transcription, use some AI tool to get a transcription from that. And you can edit that up, create social posts for LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever else for it. There's all sorts of ways to do this where you can just batch your content at the beginning of the week. And it maybe takes you an hour or two to be able to create the content, cut it up, and then schedule it out for all the different platforms.
Right. And I think if you commit to, as your team builds, or you're at the financial place where you can hire someone, a VA to help you, if you're going to do one piece of longer form content, maybe a 20-minute, 15-minute live for the week, then you can have a VA who does all of the chopping up and the repurposing and everything for you, which can really help with just managing your time as well. Now, a big part of content creation, because we talked about not being over pitchy and like selling all the time, but you do have to let people know what you do, right? And you do have to give them a next step. So a general rule of thumb is 80-20. 80% of the time, your content should just be content. It should just give value and encourage people to follow you and engage with you. 20% of the time, that's when you're giving them a call to action, a CTA. This is where you're telling them what is the next step they should be taking. So comment, to chat and book a call, right? Comment to chat and see how we can help you out. And then you're going to message with them and then give them the link to book a call. Maybe that's, comment for your new lead magnet or freebie that you've put together, or to even join your Facebook group, but have some sort of call to action that draws them closer to you in about 20% of your posts. So maybe 1 out of 5 posts you do that with. Now, that really brings us to kind of the next step in this. The next phase, you heard me mention a lead magnet. A lead magnet is a freebie that you give away in exchange for people's contact information. So this should be something that's more informative, more helpful than just what a basic Google search could provide for someone, that it actually has value, that potentially you could sell it for a few bucks, but you're going to give it away for free in exchange for their email, name, hopefully phone number. You put that on there as well. And this is just a very basic funnel that you need to begin this process to take people from social media and start putting them on an email list, collect their phone numbers where you can call them, you can text them, so that you're moving them off of a platform where you don't own, but you can get their attention. And now you're moving them over to a platform that you own, and you can continue to market them to them over time, independent of the different social platforms.
And this is going to be the step where you're taking people from the top of funnel to the middle funnel. And that middle funnel is going to be your nurture process. So people who've already taken that first step, they've already consumed some of your content, they've opted into your email list. Now they're on their email list, they're in your audience. Now you need to start thinking about, okay, what's going to get them to that next step of actually booking a call? What's going to get them to that next step of registering for my webinar? That's what we're going to focus on in that nurture part. And for different people, it's going to take a different amount of time. It's going to take a different amount of content, different questions that need to be answered. And so this is where we really focus in on what we call compulsory beliefs. These are specific beliefs that we need to build in your audience to get them to actually to a point where they're ready to buy and join. And there's several of these, but that's what we focus on in the nurture part of our funnel.
If we want to keep it simple, guys, if you're just getting started, create a really good freebie. It could be a PDF download, an audio file, a video training, put it behind a capture page, get them on your email list from it. And you can even just manually email for now. If you haven't put together a nurture sequence yet, you can text message them, you can call them, you can take things to the next level, right? Have conversations, invite them on a call with you to really see how you can help them with whatever they're struggling with.
And all the stuff that we've been talking about, this should be part of, like Leah mentioned, this should be part of your daily method of operations. This should be a daily task for you. Once you have that opt-in funnel in place where you're creating content, people are going from the content to opting into your email list, and then they're on your email list. It should be a daily task to run traffic, to create content, to getting people on your email list and building your audience, because that is the fuel for your business. That is a part. Typically when we see people who are working so hard on putting a webinar together, or they're working so hard on doing a challenge, or they're doing all these things in their business to try to generate sales, but they're missing the traffic part. They're missing the top of funnel stuff of actually building their audience. And that's why their business doesn't go anywhere, is because they're missing the fuel for the vehicle. It's like you could have the very best VSL, you could have the very best webinar or challenge or whatever it is that you're putting together. I mean, it's like having a Lamborghini, but not putting any fuel in it. It doesn't matter how many times you slam down on the gas pedal, it's not going to go anywhere. That traffic, that top of funnel content that you create, that's finding your audience and getting them to that first step of your process of opting into your email list. That is the most important part. The more of that you can do, the more people are coming in, the more people are getting exposed to you and your business and your freebie offer and opting in and getting on your email list, the bigger and faster your business is going to grow. As soon as you stop doing that stuff, that is when things are going to start drying up. And then it's going to take some time to get that momentum going again. So that's why we want this to be a daily thing. We don't want to lose that momentum, because once we lose it, it takes time to build it up again.
And traffic is really where you need to focus, getting exposure ongoing. Once you have this DMO for the week that you're following, we need to put some gas on it, like you're talking about. And so what worked really well for us over the years is with Facebook is doing all of this stuff on organic content, but then also we are occasionally or frequently driving paid traffic. And part of our funnel for the paid traffic, at one point or another, they're invited to join our Facebook group. When they're joining the Facebook group, they're invited to send me a friend request. When they send me a friend request, they start to follow me. And now they're getting the content from the group. They're getting the content from the business page. They're getting the content from my personal page. And so we're creating an ecosystem. And so I'm able to reach more people with my content than just plain old organic by itself. I can add a little more gasoline every once in a while if I want to. And that's a really good benefit of really Meta in general. So whether it's Instagram or Facebook. So I really like that. But other ways to add some gas to this, collaborations, summits, podcast guesting, networking. There's a lot of different ways to just get this in front of people. If you're not doing any of those additional things to get your content seen, this could be a really long, slow process. So by creating the content, you need all that there. It's going to slowly start working for you. But then also you can add in some gasoline in a few different areas to get exposed to more people for more people to find you more faster.
And I'll say, a lot of people are hesitant to start with paid ads because what a lot of people expect to happen is that you run an ad and then you make sales. And for some types of businesses, like if you're doing physical products, if you're selling t-shirts, if you're selling gadgets on Amazon or whatever, sure, that's the way it works. But when you're selling online courses, when you're selling a coaching program, when you're selling an agency offer or something to that effect, the reason why you run ads is to build your audience faster. Ads are not going to allow you to skip the part of building trust, of building rapport, of making the arguments that you need to make in order for people to buy and join. What it does do is it gets you exposure to people faster without having to rely on an algorithm to do it. And so we can build our email list very quickly with paid ads. We can, for example, if you put a video together and you post it on YouTube, you may only get a handful of views. And you may be putting 4, 5, 6, 8 hours into creating that video, depending on how long it is and how much editing you're doing to it. But it could take several hours to create that video just for a handful of views. Versus if you just put a little bit of ad spend behind it, you could get views for 3 cents a piece on Facebook. Even on YouTube, you could put some ad spend behind your video on YouTube and get views for a couple cents each. So you can move a lot faster for very cheap just by putting some ad spend behind the content that you're creating.
So if you're curious about ads, maybe you're getting close to that stage or just want to kind of set yourself up to be successful in the future, we do have our ultimate ad scripts available in the show notes and description. Go ahead and check that out. It is phenomenal.
And this is the exact same ad script that we teach to our high ticket clients that they've used to, even people who they're running ads for the very first time. They're setting up their ad account, they're running the first ads, and they're generating leads, email list subscribers for as little as $1, $2, $3 a piece. So it's a super effective ad script. It works specifically for coaches, course creators, people doing digital products or services online. So make sure you check that out because it's worked for all of our clients. It's worked for us, and I'm sure it's going to work for you too.
So I hope you took a lot of notes from today's episode. We gave a lot of important gold nuggets for you. I would love to hear some replies from you over the next few weeks as you implement this and see what kind of crazy, awesome results that you get. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.